Alright, the Reds, talking Reds. Tuesdays, talking Reds with myself, Gareth Roberts, Craig Hannnan. The old band's back together for talking Reds. And if you think back to those days when we first started doing this, when me and Craig were often on, we just talk shite. So we're bringing that back today, as there's literally fuck all going on in Liverpool world that's particularly new. So what we're going to do today is Liverpool News Now live.
So he hasn't pre-warned me of any of this.
I'll just have a look.
I feel like I'm better at talking shite than talking about football, to be honest. So
I mean, you can start off by telling us how you feel about Northern Ireland getting absolutely trounced 5-1 by Norway last night. How did that go for you?
You definitely didn't warn me you were going to do that on this. Michael O'Neill's left and now Northern Ireland have gone back to shite. But this is talking Reds about Liverpool and we're not going to talk about Northern Ireland because they're rubbish again.
Okay, well, Stan Collymore has urged Liverpool to sign Griezmann.
Has he?
Yeah.
Why?
He's told the Mirror that he'd like to see the Reds land Griezmann this summer from Barcelona. The Frenchman's been linked with a move to Anfield this summer by the Daily Mail. Collymore believes the lack of signings is a worry for Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp's added just one player to his ranks so far. Greek left-back Tsimikas is the only senior player signed this summer. Griezmann could be down the pecking order at the Nou Camp following Messi's sensational U-turn, and Collymore thinks Liverpool should pounce on the world-class forward and secure a stellar signing that he thinks Liverpool are craving. He says if Liverpool want to defend their title, they have to get the chequebook out. That's why I like the Griezmann rumour. If Liverpool were to get the international striker, the dressing room would be thinking the cavalry has finally arrived. He says United and Ferguson created a dynasty by constantly freshening things up with marquee signings. Liverpool haven't done that yet. The only thing that does give me comfort is the fact that they've won several trophies recently and they clearly like the feeling. I mean, Griezmann is apparently on £359,000.
This is the first thing I was thinking. Stan Collymore, I feel like Stan Collymore has come up with a name and then talked about it as if it's a rumour that's been credible or in any way mentioned. I mean, I'm glad Stan's not on our recruitment team, do you know what I mean? Look, Griezmann maybe 4 years ago was at the height, and I think that's when Barcelona first went for him and obviously decided to stay. I mean, they signed him for a ridiculous fee at one stage.
£107 million he signed for Barcelona.
He still got last summer. So he'll still have like 3 or 4 years of Stan. Stan. Come on, this one's not for me. This one. Whenever they signed him, there was a bit of a clamour around Griezmann, wasn't there? It was particularly after the 2016. I can't believe we're talking about Griezmann here in this. But anyway, 2016 Euros, top goal scorer. Had a good tournament. That was him at his height at Atletico. But nah, not for me. It makes no sense whatsoever. I know there'll be people here saying, "Oh, he's a belter footballer," and you buy as many brilliant footballers, but it's not FIFA, it's not Footy Manager, and we're not spending anywhere near that amount of money on what is a 30-year-old. I think he's 30 now. On the wages that he's on, it just makes no sense. It shatters our whole wage structure as well. Stan?
No, lad. No. I mean, the other thing that's going on is that Liverpool now own chocolate. And Everton are boycotting all chocolate because Liverpool are now sponsored by some chocolate. So well in the Cadbury's boys there. Any chocolate for the wrap there?
I'll have that. Yeah,
I'll have some chocolate.
I think that Liverpool should partner up with all the chocolate brands. So get on to Nestle next, maybe Kinder after that. Basically just box them all off until Kinder. Wow. Come on. Different kind of Friday night view, Gareth, that one. Just buy all the chocolates and then Evertonians can't eat chocolate. That's what I would do anyway. Yeah. But then I'm not high up at Liverpool in the partnership department, and probably for that reason.
We'll see where that goes, yeah. Craig in the partnership department and Stan Collymore in the recruitment department.
Bad news, that.
So Rio Ferdinand's been chatting some bubbles about the Reds as well.
No.
He says the likes of, terrible phrase that, there is no the likes of. Man City, Chelsea and Man United, there's no the likes of it.
Likes of your Gareth Roberts, the likes of your Craig Hannans.
It's just them. Yeah. It's just City, Chelsea and Man United. There's no likes of. Anyway, he says they could challenge if the Reds are plagued by injuries. So the point that Rio's been making is that we basically need to get injuries to Van Dijk, the front three, all of our midfield and our keeper. And then when we have to throw the resis in, we won't win the league.
You're plagued by injuries. That's incredible. It's the same as Newcastle saying if we sign loads and loads of top-class footballers, then we might win the league. Rio's being silly here. I think Rio's silly quite often, to be honest. And
he says no one can say Liverpool had a freak season because they finished so far ahead of their rivals. But they did have one big factor on their side that they cannot guarantee going forward. The key for them has been having their key players fit for the best part of 2 seasons.
See, that's a bit of a myth. Like, I wouldn't say that Liverpool got lucky. They were lucky with their front three, I would say. But we have, the first 8-9 games without Alisson. And that's bringing in someone like Adrian.
On the opening
day. And bringing someone like Adrian who... has his faults, and we've seen his faults. He's a decent sort of backup keeper, but nothing more than that. And that can derail sort of any football side's ambitions for the season so early in the season. It can dent the confidence. It can influence how the back four play, but everyone sort of adjusted to it and kept going. We had injuries throughout the season. Naby Keita, who we've never been able to sort of see up until maybe the end of or after lockdown, what he's able to do in Liverpool shirt because of injuries. And Fabinho as well was a big one where he just looked imperious in the middle of midfield, and then suddenly we don't have him for a couple of months. So you're chatting bubbles.
Yeah, in the league, the only players that appeared in every game. This is a bit of a myth. I agree with Craig because I've heard this a bit kicking around. I mean, don't get me wrong. We have relied largely on a core, but I think we've recruited. And we look after them in a way where we recruit players that are resilient, and then we look after resilient players and make sure they're fit, make sure they're fed, and all the rest of it. And we're reaping the rewards of that. But yeah, Firmino appeared in 38 of the 38 in the league. So did Van Dijk, so did Trent. Robertson was 36, Salah 34, Mane 35, Wijnaldum, we're not doing him again, 37, and then after that, that's it basically. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7 who've clocked up the majority of the game. So yeah, you could argue it either way a little bit, I suppose. But the thing is,
he basically means Van Dijk or the front three. Yeah. That's what he means when he says he means that we haven't been without Salah for 3 months and we haven't been without Van Dijk at 3 months. And I think what you said there is spot on. I think it isn't just a case of sort of throwing a footballer onto a pitch and then here's hoping they don't get injured. There's a lot of work that goes on in the background, whether it is with the nutritionist, the fitness team. They're constantly analysing, and the recruitment, like you mentioned, where they've said it in the past, like they've made no secret of this, that they sign footballers that don't get injured because we've had too many that we've taken a chance on and then they're not available for half the season. So I don't think that's by design more than by luck, really.
There's a couple of rumours today about players leaving Liverpool, which we do think has probably been a bit of a hindrance to players coming in, based on sort of how FSG have operated in general. And one of the players linked away is Brewster. I'm a little bit surprised by some of this. It's saying that, Liverpool are open to selling him, which I find a bit mad. I can understand maybe if come January he hasn't done anything again. You know what I mean? Like I'd expect him to get a bit of a chance between here and January, and then if he hasn't done anything by then, maybe go out on loan then. Yeah. But to be selling him now for 20 million, which is what some of the talk is today, with the likes of Aston Villa, the likes of.
Oh, yes!
Oh, I'm getting up.
It's just talking heads with me, talking Craig. It's the dream, it's what I've always waited for. This moment.
The likes of I fucking.
Get in.
Throw myself in the mazy after that. Sorry, Bill at the Sport, he taught me never to use that phrase. But yeah, Brewster, 20 million.
Doesn't make a lot of sense, that to me. And I think, considering how they were talking about Brewster last pre-season, where they were saying this is the season he's going to break through, they're going to give him chances. There was interest from Germany and they sort of turned it down, and they were able to fight it off because they seemingly promised him some game time, which didn't come. I think he went and proved himself at championship level that he's able to do it. And I think you're right. If he does go out on loan, which it looks set like he's going to do, the next 6 to 12 months are massive for him in terms of how his Liverpool career turns out. Because I think if he's had that time in the Premier League and it hasn't worked, or you just haven't seen what you wanted to, or you expect it from him, then you can make a decision. But I think making a decision on selling him now is madness for me, unless they do what Liverpool's done in the past with some of the loan players, which is putting in a buyback. Sorry, not loan players. The players they loan and then eventually sell, is they put a buyback clause on it. Klopp's done that loads, and then maybe then you're able to say, well, go out and do it as a Villa player or as a Leeds player or whatever. Do it in the Premier League, and then in 2 seasons we'll sign you back and you'll come and do it at Liverpool. But not for me. I really like Brewster. We've talked loads about him as a player, the confidence he's got, and seeing what his mates are doing as well. Not Foden and Greenwood, I don't mean like that, but like the other lads that he played with in the young England teams where they win the World Cup. He's the top goal scorer. There's the Sancho, Foden, Greenwood and so on, and they were talking about Brewster as sort of a higher prospect than those, so give him time. He had a big injury as well, and at a vital sort of stage of his young career. Give him time, give him minutes in the Premier League, whether it's at Liverpool or further afield, and then analyse it from there.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with most of that. I think it just seems a bit of a mad time. I mean, the way that the square and the circle, if you like, in some of the reports, just reading a few of them there, where that Klopp will sacrifice him, which seems a bit heavy.
Sacrificial lamb. Imagine that conversation.
But we'll sacrifice Brewster for the other players that he wants to bring in. But I think that's joining the dots a little bit there by some of the journalists. On the subject of chocolate bars, just as we go through news now, apparently there is actually a Liverpool Champions limited edition chocolate bar coming out. Since this partnership with Cadbury.
If we were any good at influencing, they should have said to us, and that would have been seamless. No one would ever known we were getting paid to do that. But we aren't. Now, couldn't we? We aren't. With a brew. I think Gareth's just after free chocolate here. That's all he's after.
Free anything, to be honest. I'm fucking skinned. News now. What else have we got? Have we done enough yet?
Harry Wilson. I saw Harry Wilson.
Yeah, he's been linked with a move. Another one, so they reckon he could go for 20 million quid.
I mean, I'm absolutely. I'd be delighted with 20 million for Harry Wilson. I don't see how to get it, especially in this climate. Maybe if it wasn't for the pandemic and clubs were a bit sure of their situation and the circumstances around their finances, then you might have looked at someone like a Newcastle, like the likes of Newcastle, and gone, we'll take a punt on Harry Wilson because he had a decent season at Bournemouth, but I just don't see 20 million, especially if they're talking about Brewster at 20 million. I'd be inclined to go for Brewster and take a bit of a risk on someone that's not proven it at Premier League level, and then Harry Wilson. I think last pre-season and coming into this one, there was a bit of talk around we should give him a go and this and that, but Liverpool are at this level now and Harry Wilson's just about getting to here. It's the same with Karius, when there was a bit of debate as to have Karius as your second choice. Well, club's brought him back, he's done a bit of training, and he's decided absolutely not, it's still Adrian. I mean, if they were able to get, and Michael Eblers has been good with this sort of thing, but if they're able to get anywhere near 20 million for Harry Wilson, then you have to be going out and signing Thiago. Because there's no reason why you wouldn't, unless they are absolutely not interested, but they seemingly are, that you would go out and you wouldn't spend the money from someone like Harry Wilson and get someone like Thiago in. I know it doesn't work as easily as that, but if they're talking about finances being tight and them not wanting to take risks, but you have that amount of money coming in, then get Thiago in.
Well, the latest talk on that from Germany is that his party, if you like, him and his agent feel as though Munich are sort of pricing him out to this Liverpool move, and so there might be a little bit of movement on that maybe at some point.
We've seen Liverpool do that. We've seen Liverpool be so intelligent around this, and I feel like we probably should have a bit more confidence in it. You did a really good free podcast yesterday. If you haven't seen it, it's on. Just Google the Anfield Rap Audio Boom free podcast, or it's on the app. It's on YouTube as well, and it's really good on sort of the fans' feeling at the moment and general feeling around lack of transfers and not signing Thiago and the finances and what was it? The Swiss Ramble. Swiss Ramble did on that thread that he did on Twitter, sort of explaining why Liverpool are in this position. But we've seen Liverpool do this with Alisson. Do you remember Alisson? It was like, oh, he's 80 million or he doesn't go. Oh, he's 65 million or he doesn't go. And then Liverpool get him down to whatever they sign him for because they wait and they know that they hold the cards and they wait and they wait and they wait and then they get it done. And I think the same will happen with Thiago. I just don't see them going into the new season, leaving the transfer window without a signing like him.
I think there's a standoff with a lot of these potential transfers at the moment because, you know, for all the clamour that you see for signings all round, really, you know, there is still another month to go. On Wilson, it was 7 goals in 35 appearances at Bournemouth. That was following 15 championship goals at 18-19 for Derby County. So I imagine plenty of clubs interested. What David Anderson's saying in the Mirror today is that the valuation's a little bit on the high side for some of the interested clubs right now. But I don't see him, and would you really, I don't see him getting a sniff at Liverpool. I think we went to a pre-season friendly a couple of years ago, Chester, where he played, and obviously he was head and shoulders above, you know, non-league players, and you saw something there and you thought, oh well, but I think he's bottom half of the Premier League, top half of the Championship. He's not winning the league. He's not Champions League.
Yeah.
And he's 23 as well.
You've got footballers like Shaqiri who cannot get a sniff, and they're proven internationals. You know, they've proven their worth to Liverpool at times throughout his 2 seasons here, albeit with a lot less game time than expected. If he can't get anywhere near it at the moment, well, Harry Wilson ain't getting anywhere near it. So a little 20 million, I'd be delighted with.
There you go. I thought that was all right for Talking Reds, wasn't it? As Craig says, go and have a listen to the free show yesterday. It was a good debate. Seems to have sparked more debate as well on the various places that we go and have a debate, on Twitter, on Facebook, on forums, on Instagram, on YouTube.
I think that's a really good point what you just said there about debate, because I think like whenever we're on this side of the camera saying, like, we're never saying it, we're just giving our opinion, do you know what I mean? We're just two footy fans giving our opinion, and then within the comments or, you know, on social media or whatever, whenever people are saying, well, I don't agree with it, that's fine, because it's a discussion. It's meant to be like a two-way thing, isn't it? And you're allowed to sort of have difference in opinions. I think we should sort of take heed of that on all forms of the internet at the moment. I'm just sort of staying away from it all on the social media at the minute, and just, as I said before, zen, just waiting for the new season to start. Wait for Thiago to come to us, and wait for Liverpool to win the league title.
I feel like you're just tempting loads of people here to see if they can wind you up. Like, no. Can you get Craig to crack from his zen?
Do you? What was the one I got last week? You get your eyebrows done. I don't. As someone said to me, does your bird do your eyebrows? No, she doesn't. She doesn't do my eyebrows. So
the comments in general are fucking wild at times, aren't they? I mean, it's like, you know, you put weight on, you're only saying what you're saying about FSG, so you get an interview next summer.
That's the maddest one. Like, I don't know how people think that the interviews mostly work. I mean, the interviews mostly work.
Matt McCann sitting there on his laptop every day at Liverpool going like, oh, they said something good. Ding, plus mark.
Until we get a certain threshold.
Yeah, if we finish plus 25, we get Klopp. But yeah, oh no, he said something bad about FSG. Back down.
Behind the curtain sort of thing. Like, the interviews, like, quite often don't come from the club. They come from like sponsors, or they come from there's a book out, or there's something like that
also
that
as
means
well, I mean, as good as they are and as great as they are, and as much as we enjoy doing them and having them and being able to put them out there for you, it's not among our most popular content.
No, that's
so like the idea that we're like desperate for these interviews because otherwise the Anfield apple fall on its arse if we don't get them. Bollocks.
Do you know what? Footy fans are mad. Like that. When I started sort of 3.5 years ago, I would have thought like a Robertson interview or a Henderson interview or whatever would be that'd be the driver for listens, for downloads and subscriptions and so on. But it's absolutely not. It's just the football match. It's the post-match content, and it's the transfers. You just fucking love transfers because you're all mad. But I like a transfer. I'm just not dying for it. But yeah, that's another behind the curtain.
And apologies, Stan, but that's why you wrote about Griezmann, isn't it? We all know how it works. That has been Talking Reds. Up the fucking Reds.